Hello, welcome to Conversations for the Moving Self. I am your host, Megan, a lifelong movement artist and facilitator. Each week, I invite you inside of the honest conversations that I have been having with some incredibly inspiring movement and well-being practitioners, as we unpack the beautiful roller coaster it is to pursue a lifestyle built around movement and well-being. Join us as we share and reflect on the moments where movement lights your soul on fire to the situations where you begin to question everything. For today, I am welcoming Stazia, Ritch onto the podcast. All the
Hello,
way,
podcast.
all the way from North Carolina. Stazia is a super uh, special human in my life, and I've basically grown up with Stazia. We grew up dancing together and also kind of just facing all of the puberty challenges together, all of the high
Puberty.
school, all of the high
Yeah, we got
school.
our period together.
Yes. No, but we went to high school together and we were in different years, but we spent so much time together every hour of the week, a lot of times. And yeah, I think especially since we graduated, the shift that has been super cool for me is to see like both of us evolve in our careers in our own rights and keep coming back to this really beautiful friendship that keeps feeding us in such a special way. Um, yeah, Stage is someone who really fights for what she believes in and lives life with a very passionate and full heart, I feel. She's super determined and
Thanks.
honest and is a great problem solver, but also someone that I think in general
Oh,
just
I
has
don't feel like I'm a great problem solver.
um
I feel like I just have a lot of problems
no, but I
to
think you
solve.
face everything like Stij and I were catching up earlier and we were talking a little bit about resiliency, and I think Stij is someone that's always kind of faced things head on and has been super grounding for me in that way as well, and not made me afraid to like really, yeah, to be passionate about something. I think that's something that I've really always felt like when I was excited about something, stage just made me more excited about it rather than I think a lot of times it can feel easy to shy away from the things that you believe in.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm super excited
What?
to have Stasia here to be able to chat and just catch up because we're also many, many miles apart at the moment, but this is a nice
Like,
space for us.
literally more miles than we've ever been apart, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Why?
Also, like, I have thoughts about what you just said because I think what's funny, about our friendship is like it was almost a running joke for everybody that knew us in high school to make fun, like in a playful way, but like to make fun of how much we cared about everything that we were doing.
Yeah,
Um,
so true.
I specifically, they'd just be like, "Oh my God," like they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, like we love dancing with you guys. Like we love how much you love dance, but like could never be me. Like that's crazy that you guys are just so committed to this. Wow." I brought this up when we were talking about doing this podcast. Um, that I was thinking about our friendship and all the ways that it's like ebbed and flowed, and what's interesting is we haven't actually been in the same place at the same time doing the same thing, um really, like, ever.
No.
Even when we were in high school in the same, like, quote unquote high school dance program, you were like doing the like independent study version of our dance class where you would kind of just like sit there and do whatever you wanted to that day you were injured, and I was like learning dances, but we were going to school. We were taking, oh my gosh, actually, we became friends because we were taking the same civics class at two different periods a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had projects.
We had
So then
our lunch times together.
and like obviously we danced, yeah, obviously we danced together and like knew each other through dance, but like wouldn't really like necessarily socialize or talk much because I had just joined your group at dance. Or
Yeah.
I might have, yeah, no, I had literally just made it into elite and didn't really like have a group or friends or anything besides like people that had been left over or come with me from my last group. And so I
Yeah.
knew who you were and we like knew of each other. But then I think we both just randomly happened to be in our civics classroom during lunch one day and then we just started and we like we wouldn't be like, "Hey, do you want to sit together and like hang out for lunch?" We would just like be like, "Oh, hi," and then sit next to each other and silently like eat our lunch separately and just do our
Yeah.
homework separately but like next to each other, and then every once in a while you would like turn to me and start talking about your solo private that you were having that day. And then that's how we became friends, but we did that like every single day, but we would never text each other and be like, "Hey, do you want to meet up for lunch?" We would just
No.
do it.
Yeah, it would just happen. And I
And you would
think
pull out your like mason jar salad and
literally
I was just like, this person is crazy.
this person is crazy,
um
and this person also brought the same mason jar to every other country that I've been to, and I actually was
that
drinking
same
out
mason
of,
jar.
yeah, like this same mason jar that I used in high school, I have brought with me to London. I've brought it with me here.
Wow.
And I was joking
So
about
then
with my
what I'm
roommate tonight.
hearing is the mason jar represents you carrying me with you everywhere that you go.
Yeah, I also actually was gonna tell you, Stasia got me this super cute mug when I moved to London for school. And it's like a
The
mug
one
that
that
when you,
changes colors when you
yeah,
pour
when
liquid in it?
you put
Yeah.
like hot drinks in it, it changes colors. And Stacia told me like it's a sacred mug and you can only ever put tea in it or like hot drinks. Like you can never put anything like alcohol or juice in it. And I never do. And I was thinking recently, like I'm so impressed.
I love that you took that seriously because I definitely wrote that like in your card
You
just
did.
like as a silly joke.
Yeah, but I took it seriously, and I think it's the reason that it still hasn't broken. I think if I put something else in it, I think it will break. Like it not
Yeah.
because of the drink,
I
but
think
like
that
metaphorically.
I think that we are each other's yin and yang because you take everything in life so extremely seriously that I say and do, and
Yeah.
also just everything that everyone says and does extremely seriously.
Yeah.
And I also do that to an extent, but I think that we balance each other in that way because I also like to me like nothing is also like I go through a lot of my days being like none of this is real, nothing
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
But then also am extremely intense about every decision that I make and everything that happens to me. So
Yeah, but
I think
I
that we
agree.
get that from each other a little bit.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that anytime that you ever have chill about anything ever, like you moving to this island that you're on right now, um, like you moving to Mauritius, I think like it is the part of yourself that is also the part of me that's just like, yeah, let's do it and find out. Let's
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
just being carefree and whatever. And also like your career can expand if you don't ever make choices like that. And if you, I think we both have been really good about not allowing ourselves to stay in the boxes that people growing up like tried to put us in, and not even in a negative way,
No.
just in a way of being like, this is your strength, you should do this.
Yeah.
We were kind of like, yes, but
How about that?
like yeah, how can I do this but then also do everything else and also be good at all of the things? Um,
100%.
which
Yeah.
also feels impossible sometimes because then you're spreading yourself thin and I always am having the crisis of like how can I actually fully invest in one thing if I'm also trying to put my eggs in like 20 other baskets? But
Yeah.
if it's all the same um central um community basket,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That if it's all still feeding into the same thing, then you actually can do it. I think I've learned. But
Yeah.
like from a freelancing and scheduling standpoint and like everything that I am living right now, it's exhausting.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing. Like, I was talking with another really good friend of mine recently about the concept that, like, even when you're putting all your eggs in one basket or in too many baskets, like, all of the experiences that you have are always going to keep feeding back to your overall, like, freelance career. And just, like, I think that permission to, yeah, to allow the, like, okay, say for example, we're talking about, like, in a concrete way, in a dance career, like teaching versus choreographing versus performing, like, it's obvious when we break it down, like, that something that you create in a performing space or in a choreography space, like, then of course feeds the way that you teach but, like, at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, like, I think, yeah, when I think as a dancer, a lot of times there's pressure to, yeah, be doing everything all at once and be specializing in something and be the best at said specialization, but trying to
Mm-hmm.
take the attention away from that and just shifting into, like, intentionality in the spaces that you're in is much more calming for the nervous
Yeah,
system
well, I also
sometimes.
think that we've both been better about being able to find like a certain level of surrender. Not not fully, it's still really, really hard for even for me, which and I am better at it than you are probably. A certain level of surrender in um everything I am as a human is everything that I am as an artist, and everything that I am as an artist is everything I am as an employee and in my workspaces and everything that feeds into, my career.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it kind of comes from like you were even saying with like cross training and your yoga certification, all those things, like everything that has to do with your body and taking care of your body has to do with you succeeding and thriving and flourishing as a dancer and a mover and an artist and all of those things, right? So
Yeah.
having the consistent practice with cross training and other things that make your body feel good and all of that, and just taking care of yourself in any which way. Um,
Mm,
at the same time, also having to, like you were just saying, with the, you know, pockets of free time that you're able to have in your schedule now to actually like be with yourself as a human and explore what's going on inside of your life right now and how you're
mm,
dealing with the transition of moving to the island and everything. Um, having uh time with yourself as a human and figuring out what feeds me as a human and how can that feed my relationship with my body and my relationship with the way that it moves and the way that it dances. Like I feel that way um about my social life and the way that it ebbs and flows
yeah.
and the people I spend my time with and why I spend my time with them. And sometimes I'm spending my time with them because we are going out and dancing in a social way, and that feeds me in a totally different way than like improving in my bedroom does.
100%.
But at the same time, like it's all feeding the same machine that is your body that's going
Yes.
on this constant
Yes.
journey of, um, you know, being the vessel that is everything that your career is. So, in the
Yeah.
most long-winded way, it's like I feel like in my 20s, like I think the transition we both had to make in our 20s versus us in high school was like, who am I
Outside of
besides
this.
just besides just a dancer? We literally like it, the toxicity and how deeply rooted it was in our identity, and it was our everything. And I know it was my identity because it was this like form of escapism and this thing that I felt like I was choosing for myself rather than something that was being chosen for me or something I had to do like school or whatever it was. Um, that's why I was so emotionally invested in it at that time. But I'm still equally as emotionally invested in it, if not more, because
Oh, yeah.
it's my entire livelihood and I have to, survive solely off of my body and it functioning and being able to do all the things that it can do. But me also being able to actually experience my 20s, and sometimes it doesn't always feel like
Mm,
that, but I think what I'm working towards is finding even more balance. And I think it's
yeah.
hard because the scale can tip really quickly one way.
Yeah.
um Even like me right now, like looking at my fall being like, oh, there's all these things I want to do and these places I want to go. And oh, I actually do want to see that concert. But actually, no, I think that weekend I should probably stay home and work on my choreography for the season or whatever it is.
Mm,
Like, and I've always been able to be balanced in that way. But sometimes when you get so invested in like one thing, or you're like really like
or
living off of the high of whatever phase you're currently in with all
yeah.
of that, it's hard to find. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to find balance. I think this summer was a really good experiment for me in that way. Um I ended up like really broke at the end of it, but I was able to, and I was taking on as much work as I could, but I think just like this was the first time I've really experienced what only like freelancing really does in the summer, because or just like
Mm,
the way that dance jobs exist in the summer is very differently than the way that they exist in the rest of the year, especially where I am, especially when you're in a suburb of North Carolina. Like I don't live in a city. I live in a place where like the work is very based off of the kids being in school
yep.
and the school's hiring you and the studio's hiring you and all of that kind of stuff. And I had a great like summer choreography season, and I was able to go to all these studios, and I was able to teach at so many intensives that I always am consistently doing on my summers. But even that, it feels like you're doing a lot, still not even really enough to sustain you, because I was
Yeah.
doing that. Plus, I was trying to travel and find myself and socialize, and um, went to New York on the dance trip with Courtney's studio, and then decided that I was having this awakening and I needed to come back the next week and just keep training for myself, because I hadn't actually trained for myself in the way that I was when I got to New
Yeah.
York. I guess I hadn't had that type of clarity
Yeah.
surrounding my body and my training since I think COVID, which
Yeah.
we haven't really touched on. But I literally like hadn't. Uh, I was thinking about it last night while I was journaling too. I was like, I literally like my brain felt so clear while I was there, which is so weird
Hmm.
because it's such a, it's such a crazy place. But me like being there, taking class whenever I wanted to take class, just, ebbing and flowing with each
Yeah.
day, running around on the train, trying to make it to all these different places, like packing my day to the brim, going to a Broadway show after that, like doing whatever I was trying to pack into that trip. I just felt so connected, and it felt so easy, and I felt like myself, and I felt like I wasn't second guessing the way that I moved or the way that I was showing up in those class spaces, or whether or not this teacher was going to respond to the way that I was doing their movement or whatever, like all these things that happened to me, um or have happened to me throughout uh me dancing and growing up. Like I just felt like I'm finally at the place where I think, because I've invested so much time in me learning who I am and being a human and
Yeah.
finding my own independence and cultivating the career that I want in the timeline that I want it to be in. I think when I get back into dance spaces like that, it feels really freeing, and I feel just so like excited and empowered, and it feels easy. I think
Yeah.
because when I'm here and I'm trying to do a million things at once, obviously it feels hard. But
Yeah.
it's
Of
just so
course.
interesting, because growing up, like I felt like dancing was this constant. I loved it, but it either felt freeing, or if I was struggling, it felt like this like never ending battle that I just like
Mm,
couldn't. I felt like I was like constantly like in a boxing fight with myself every single day that I went to ballet class. And
yeah.
either I was going to like win the fight that day, or I was going to end up on the floor and they're
Yeah.
counting like 3, 2, 1, you're dead. Um, and I think,
Three, two, one,
and
you're
that's
dead.
just, that's also just my inner drama that shows up. And I know that my inner drama is what makes me me and makes me special, but it also makes it really hard to exist in the world. Because,
No, but
because oh my God, it was ballet class. Like, why was it so life or death? And I think I
yeah.
now as a teacher, I come across so many kids that are like me in that way.
Yeah.
Um, that are just like, if I can't hold this passe, I'm going to collapse. Like
Yeah.
nothing in the world is going
Nothing
well.
matters more.
And okay, this is I'm going on a tangent now, but this is a really good point that was brought up to me. I was in class in New York, and from this teacher, really really loved, took her class for the first time this summer, but really really trust her teaching style, the way that she teaches, the way that she leads. Very very inspired by everything that she was doing. So I kept going back to her class. And one day, so she like knew me and knew who I was, and would talk to me before, after class, whatever. So we were building a relationship. One day I am doing her warm up that I'm like now getting the hang of and understanding more. And it's like a 9 a.m. class, Broadway Dance Center. We're there, we're doing it. She stops the music and she's like, I know so many people in this room, and if I looked around this room and I didn't know all of you, she's like, I would think that you were like the meanest people in the entire universe, just based off the way that you're doing your tondus. She's like, you're doing your tondus like it is a life or death situation, and the tondu has to be so perfect and like nothing else matters, and like your ego is feeding into so much of the way that you're doing this tondu that
Mm,
you're not able to relax into it. You're not able to actually execute it properly. You're just like holding on to this extra like mental tension because you think that everything about this tondu needs to be perfect. She was like, it's just a tondu.
yeah.
She was like, relax, breathe, and just do the tondu. We're in dance class. It's
Yeah.
not the end of the world. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm sure I looked really mean while I was doing that tondu because I was trying to do that tondu perfectly. And
Yeah.
rather than actually like listen to, or just be present in my body, literally just like being present in my body.
Yeah.
Um, and that I've brought up to my students a lot this summer, like
Yeah.
her saying that because it really has helped me to like release some mental tension in that way.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, 100%. Like, it's so easy to get super, super invested in like we get these like tunnel vision goggles on, and it feels like it all matters so much. But it's nice when someone's able to like catch you in the moment and kind of break that brain wavelength up. And
Mm-hmm.
then I think, yeah, when you have those moments with teachers or like instructors or just even friends in general, like catching you in the middle of your like habits that are self-detrimental, it's
Yeah.
so
Well,
much
that's a habit
easier
that
to
I built,
then
and yeah, it's
stop
almost like a
it.
wall that I learned how to put up
Yeah.
um in high school, and I did that like as a survival tactic. Like so when I walked into a convention room, like it would look like I didn't have extreme imposter syndrome and I actually knew what I was doing. Like
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's still showing up in my body as an adult that like now is, confident in the way that I move to an extent. I mean, not in every single class, not in every single style, but like can walk in and know that I've, trained a lot and,
Yeah.
have something to offer to the space, right? um it's just so interesting that like our body holds on to all these things.
Oh yeah.
I think that's just a theme. If anything, that's a theme that's showing up in my practice right now, is like that my body is holding on to a lot. And I think in my teaching right now, I'm trying to I guess not let what I'm holding on to cloud the way that I'm entering the space and leading the space. And I'm
Mhm.
always doing it intentionally, but sometimes, when you're trying to show up authentically every day and who you are authentically that day is not what this particular group of kids needs,
Yeah.
that can give you kind of like I've been having a teacher identity crisis over the summer, and I've talked to a lot of my friends who teach about it. I've
Yeah.
talked to a lot of my um, mentors, people in my circles that, have guided me through just everything in my career about this crisis that I've been having. Not even necessarily like having to do with teaching or feeling any type of way about teaching. It's not even that. It's like
Mhm.
my own identity within
Within.
teaching.
Yeah.
And in the moments in which I feel like I have to shift what my intuition wants to do to honor what this particular group needs from me,
Mm.
or the moments where I have to like be this put on version of myself that day because that is actually like what what is my responsibility to offer the space. And
Yeah.
maybe this is like not, maybe it just sounds like I'm talking in circles right now, but
No, no, no.
it's just it's
It's
very interesting.
just
And I had lots of long conversations with you about this over the summer too, as I was working through it. Now I feel great. I'm in all these new spaces. I've worked it out to the most, like for the most part. I'm still figuring it out every single day, obviously, but um just feeling like, okay, what if who I am is not what they're going to respond to? How can I find a part of myself
Yeah.
that I can bring into the space that they will respond to? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
without it feeling forced and without it feeling fake. Just
Yeah.
knowing that, like, this is what's needed, this is what's allowed, this is, you know,
It's
what's
this.
going to create the most positive experience for them, even
Mm,
if I'm having to really like pull and find this from within myself. And I can always do that in the moment, but I
yeah.
think it's hard when, I want them to see me and meet me there, and they're not always going to see me and meet me there.
No,
Um,
but that's yeah.
so that's just been the fun part of it.
Yeah, yeah. How to like find that balance between like the because I think when we care so much about the thing that we pursue, it gets easy to feel like when you're not able to bring your full self to the space because it's not gonna be the most successful tactic for the class, then it feels like very jarring to the system of like, but this is supposed to be the thing that I feel authentic and passionate about. And then it's like, okay,
Yep. Well,
you
and
can
that's I think
still,
where I have to separate my personal practice from my
yeah,
teaching practice. Like, they're
yes,
two totally different girls.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I mean, they're both me, but
yeah, yeah,
they're so different. And I think that's also like why, like, when I am dancing full out, sometimes my students are like, "Oh my gosh," like, I mean, not even in the way of what that sounds like, but I mean, they're like, "Wow, I didn't even know you had that side of you." Like, I've had
yeah,
students like come to my performances before and been like, "Wow, I've never seen you like that before." And I'm like, "That's
yeah,
crazy because I'm teaching you how to do this." But at the same time, like, yeah, like, I am a whole different human when I'm in an adult dance space, when I'm on a stage, when I'm, taking class for myself, when I'm taking class sometimes alongside my students, but it's somebody else's class. Like,
yes,
they even
yes,
get to see a different side of who I am when I'm not the one that has to like lead and command the space.
yeah.
So I
I
don't know.
have a, well, okay, two things. I'm gonna try and go back to what we're just talking about in a moment, but
Okay.
I'm first gonna ask you. I know you're actually like time difference wise, you're kind of just starting your day, sort of, and you're
No, I'm in the
heading
middle of my day.
middle of your day.
It's
Yes.
3 p.m.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. But
I'm like
you're
going to work in an hour.
heading into work.
Like,
Yeah,
to
that's what I
teach.
was gonna
Yeah.
say. Is you're
Yeah.
heading into work in an hour? Like, how
But also like
are?
have spent my whole morning also like prepping for work. So it's like
Yeah.
it's also a weird schedule.
Yeah, I was gonna ask a little bit about like just how you're showing up for this big concept it is of like your movement and well-being practice today because it's so multifaceted as like your individual self as a mover but also as a teacher, just like yeah, where you're
Mm,
existing right now today. And
I think, yeah, the way that I always show up for my teacher self, no matter what, is being prepared.
mm,
Um, and being prepared right now looks a lot different than being prepared for a class 6 years ago when I
mm,
was kind
mhm,
of just getting into learning how I like to lead a class and all those things, and not really having my clear curriculums or structures. Now, like, it actually is simpler for me to prepare.
yeah,
Like, earlier, I was literally just cutting music and being like, okay, what do I want to add on to this dance? And sometimes it can even just be an idea and I figure it out in the space or whatever. And I think I used to put a lot of pressure on my prep work, and then
yeah,
feeling like if I walked into the classroom and I didn't have a full complete plan, that I wasn't going to find it along the way. And
yeah,
now I know that that's possible. Even sometimes the days when I walk in and I'm like, okay, I have an idea and I have a concept but not a full plan, those are the days I make the things that I like the most. So it's also about finding the balance of um, being prepared, knowing what you want, but also and that takes a lot of stress off of it too. Like, when I'm going in to teach a 5 hour night, if I know exactly what I'm going to do in each class, if I know exactly what exercises are going to happen, all of those things, that really takes a lot of weight off of the situation, and the having to like think on the spot part goes away. But I think it's different, I guess, what I'm describing as a choreography standpoint, because I have some group choreography tonight. So I think that the energy of the dancers in the space, oftentimes you have to pivot no matter what.
Yeah.
I was even thinking about this while making solos this past weekend because I found that the best way for me to make a solo, for the most part, is for me to come in with some movement, whether it's past movement, whether it's movement I used 3 years ago that I found on a video, whatever, and be like, okay, I'm just going to start here. And then
Hmm.
I'll start with that movement. And then before I know it, the first 8 count has turned into something so completely and vastly different than it was 2 seconds ago, in the video on my phone.
Yes.
But starting somewhere is like, because the hardest part for me is starting. So if I have something to start with, that really takes a lot of the like mental pressure off the choreographic like process, especially because
Mm.
that I think the choreographic process is the thing that I find the most imposter syndrome in. um well, I want to say currently, but also like always. you know
Yeah.
I think that that is the part of the job that I've struggled with the most, and I've struggled the most in like finding how my process is, like finding the best way for my process to operate, and the most efficient way for my process to operate, especially when you're feeling like creatively drained and it's like, okay, I just choreographed 4 solos in a row and now I'm on my fifth or sixth one of the day. How can this still stay fresh? How can I not keep repeating the same ideas over and over, and all those things? And sometimes it's, oh well, I taught this improv class this week, so how
Yeah.
about I take this concept and this texture that I was talking about surrounding shapes and transitions, and I start with that. I've literally, yeah,
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
week did that, where I was like, okay, I told the kids to make a shape and then rotate, so how about I just make a shape and then rotate? So it's
How to
also just like
like.
simplifying, and
Mm.
also not putting so much pressure in that like everything you need to make needs to be the most wonderful and amazing thing the very first try.
Yeah.
I've been getting really good at honoring the very first structure and making a structure and knowing that the structure can change 6 million times. And I think that
Mm.
that's been, really helpful in me like surrendering to my process, and just knowing that, the ideas don't have to be amazing the first time. They just have to be
Yeah.
ideas, and you have to put them in the space, and then they can become what they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, that's how I prepped this morning.
I
But
guess, yeah, this is, it made me think
for
about like
teaching.
the way that so much of teaching is also like meeting the students where they are, and like if you come in with too set of a plan or too strong of a structure,
Oh,
or
absolutely,
even
especially for
if
a
it's,
soloist.
yeah, and like even if it's like, I think sometimes it can feel easy as a earlier teacher or like a fresher teacher, younger teacher, I don't know,
Oh
but
yeah,
like to come in and think that if you have to shift in class, it's something that went wrong on your side. But I think the
definitely.
discovery like you and I both have had over the years is like it's actually typically the opposite. Like if you're able to shift, it's because you're responding to what the kids actually need and what the space maybe needs to bring the most growth, and especially in a choreography space, like how to really suit the scenario.
That's
um
also like that's the practice of surrender that we were literally just
mm,
talking about, where like you are able to surrender to, this is what this needs to be in this moment, rather than what I thought it needed to be when I was,
yeah.
choreographing it in my bedroom a day ago. Um, so I think if anything, like what the biggest evolution I've seen in my ability, like the biggest evolution I have seen in my teaching abilities is learning how to pivot, because
Mm,
like learning how to do things on the spot and do them confidently and do them better,
yeah.
um has like really allowed me to step into my power, and also just like listen to what's going on in the room, because I feel like there were so many years where I was teaching for myself and I was not teaching for the
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And that sounds bad, but I mean like
No,
I
but
like in my head I'm like, oh, this feels good to my body, this feels good for me today, so it should be feeling good for them. And then when they don't respond, I'm like, well, what's going wrong?
yeah.
But it's only because I didn't have the awareness to like be sensitive to the energy of the room, or to be sensitive to what the kids might need that day, or to communicate with them, or to ask them questions, and like
Yeah.
all of those things. And I think it's normal to come in when you're, especially when you're trying to like be confident in what you're doing, like you
Yeah.
said, to come in and be like, well, I have a really clear plan and we're going to do this, 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 and this, and we're going to get through this whole plan. And my goal is to do all of these things in class. And also just knowing like, it's okay if you need to slow down and do one exercise 4 times. That has also been a really hard thing for me,
Yeah.
as a person who wants to like maximize all of the time and every single second in class. It has
Hmm.
been so difficult for me to surrender to like, it's okay to repeat something. It's
Yeah.
okay to slow down and talk about alignment for like 5 minutes. And also that looks different, I think, in every single class structure. I
Yeah.
also think there's balance there. I've also been in classes where I've been like, oh my gosh, if you talk about alignment for 5 more minutes, I'm gonna literally pull my hair out.
Yeah.
So and I think it's different in adult spaces where they're where everyone is actually able to digest what you're saying,
Of course.
versus like kids, they might digest like 20% of it on that day, because then their brain is also trying to absorb everything else that they learned at school and all the information that they're taking in about the world developmentally based on where they are. So
Yeah.
just knowing that like you have to try and you have to repeat yourself over and over and over again, and eventually it's going to land. But also, I mean, we've even talked about like learning all the different ways to say the cues, and not
Yeah.
just the one way we were taught it growing up, but knowing that like this kid might need to hear it in this way, so I need to learn how to say the same thing 200 different ways. And
Yeah.
that is going to make me better, because that one kid in the back is going to hear it, and that's going to be the one thing that's going to make them to respond and actually understand how to engage their core. And honestly, a lot of this just comes from me not knowing how to engage my core for 20 years of my
I
life.
actually
So
was about to say though, like
just because
my
everybody was saying pull your belly button toward your spine, and I was like, so what does that mean?
yeah, but it's so true. Like it actually makes me think. We I think we're quite lucky to grow up at a studio that also taught us to learn. Yeah, taught us how to teach from quite a young age. But
Oh yeah.
equally, what I've noticed like so much more since finishing high school is like how much teaching feeds my dancing as well. Like and actually, as you said that, it made me think like I remember taking a class in New York with my sister years ago, and the the teacher kept saying like pull your navel up. One of us, I don't even, it might have been me, but one of us in the class thought it meant like nasal, like nose, and we were like, what are they talking about? Like,
Well, and that's like really hard, because sometimes I'll get really heady and I'll start using all this terminology and I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally in front of an 8-year-old. Like they don't know what that means.
yeah,
So, to me, it might make sense and it might feel like they're going to respond to that, but it's so different. So I have, obviously all different cues that I use with all different ages and everything like that.
100%.
But really easy to get on a tangent and for them to be like, we literally have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh, right. Right now I'm talking for me, not actually for you. And I have that experience as a teacher often, because I,
Because
love
you
to hear
care.
myself speak.
Yeah,
So
and
I can hear myself speak all day long. Um, and that really fills me.
yeah, but I
What it
also
doesn't
think it
fill is my
comes
students. So I need to
from
figure out like, what do they actually need to hear me say right now, and
yeah.
how can I kind of like filter my own ego out of all of that?
That ties me onto something that I was gonna ask you about is like how you find balance as someone who has had teaching as quite a consistent part of your career, like
Mm.
in parts of the year that maybe you've been pouring out so much, especially because you do care from such a deep place, how you then fill the other parts of your dance life or dance cup and equally just like protect your energy while being able to give the students.
Whew, protecting your energy. That is the hardest part. Um, well, okay. When things are really crazy, especially like this time of year, like we're in the thick of it, everything just started, school started, dances are being made, choreography is, moving quickly, all the things are happening. Also, like I'm gearing up for several shows that are happening in the fall. I'm in several rehearsal processes right now that are just starting up. So, um, what I need from a teaching space to make me successful is to actually learn to lean on my circle and
Mm,
my community and my people that I know are going to keep me in a positive mindset no matter what. And also the people that are going to like pull me out when I dig myself into a deep hole
Yeah.
of like, oh my gosh, like this one thing didn't go well today, or this kid didn't respond to this thing, or this parent said this or whatever. I can really let myself get into spirals, and talking to people who are also experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing, sometimes to like an even more extreme amount, like they own the studio or they direct or they do whatever, like um being able to like see how they move through it day to day, and are able to protect their own peace, and like just hearing and seeing their advice is really really helpful. So also like, yeah, actually talking about it, and when something happens that interrupts my
Mhm.
day, being like, how should I respond to this? I'm definitely the type of person that I process I process by talking about my feelings. I know
Yeah.
that not everybody is like that, but I process my feelings by talking about them to other people. So, I mean,
Mm.
that's even part of our friendship. Like, we will send each other voice memos, we'll do all those things just to be like, oh my gosh, this thing happened to me, and I just need to say it out loud in order to understand it.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I think when it comes to like personal practice and protecting my peace, making sure that I have spaces, first of all, that I am dancing in.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's the first thing that I tend to sacrifice, when things get busy and things get hard, is for me to be like, okay, well, I do want to do this piece, or I do want to be in this rehearsal process, but I don't really have the time because I'm doing all these things that are, actually fueling me more financially. And, like, here you do get paid more to teach than you get paid to dance. And
Yeah.
so, um,
Most definitely.
making sure that I'm like balancing my time in a way that's going to uh feed me and make sure I have like enough abundance, even financially, to survive, while also, if I am not taking on those side projects, if I'm not making sure that I'm, consistently performing or creating, or um you know finding and utilizing the, adult community of dancers surrounding me, and also just like working dance professionals too. Like, I mean, so much of the community of people that I dance with, in these like adult companies and everything, are, I mean, every single one of them also teaches, and I'm also able to have these conversations, when I'm struggling with my teacher self or my identity or any of those things. I'm able to have those conversations with them as well, and also we get to move and create together consistently, and that's
Mm.
what's so fun and amazing about like the community here in North Carolina. Is so expansive, and I'm always finding something new, and I'm always, there's always a class that I could be attending. There's always something going on, and I think that the more that I remember that and become aware of that, and the more I actually, you know prioritize going out of my way to do that, not all the time, but like every so often,
Yeah.
um the more empowered I feel, and the more in my body I feel, and the more, I'm able to try on other people's movements, so I don't get so stuck in my own cycles and my own patterns. And also just being able to collaborate, whether it's like I'm teaching, a collab class, making a combo with my best friends, or if, we're collaborating within a piece that we're creating, or whatever it is, you know, always having conversations about dance,
Yeah.
always putting myself in environments where, I I was writing in actually I was writing in my journal this morning, um, about how, because it was, I'm doing this guided journal right now, and I've been trying to pick it up when I wake up in the morning. And the question today, I think, was about, how do you like want to, or not, like what kind of abundance do you want to invite into your life, or whatever. And I was just saying that I want to make sure that I am consistently surrounded by people who are more, ambitious than I am. Not
Mm.
that I'm not ambitious, but like there are so many people, in my spaces that, you know they just never stop. And they're always exploring, they're always finding new things to do, they're always feeding into themselves and their community and their projects and their passions, and just like making sure that those are the types of people that I'm surrounding myself with,
Yeah.
especially as I'm, the age that I am, like being 24 years old. Like, there's so many different phases of life that people my age are in,
Yeah.
so just making sure that I am aligning, the people that I surround myself with the exact type of like, space that I feel like I'm in, or that I want to work towards, or just anything like that. I just always want to be surrounding myself with those people. But as far as like, my own personal practice, I think what I really need to get back into again, I'll always go back to what were my practices over COVID, because
Mm,
over COVID, and if you, I mean, so me and you, our relationship over COVID. So it turned into like, Megan was injured in high school, um, but we were like dancing together in the same spaces. We were talking through it. We were becoming really close, like through Megan's injury. And then when Megan started dancing again, we like danced together like very briefly for a period of time, and then COVID happened.
yeah,
And
it's crazy.
so and I was already graduated from high school, and I was like continuing to dance, and I was like doing a super senior year and all this, and like there's so much going on.
There was
But
so much going on.
what was really nice was what our relationship became, what over that time period it has evolved into what it is still now, which is
Mm,
us holding ourselves accountable for like doing just being consistent and doing the things that fuel us.
yeah.
Like we would literally wake up in the morning and be like, okay, here's my schedule today. I think I'm going to take this Instagram live class, and then I'm going to take this Zoom class. And then I was thinking about doing this YouTube like little ballet bar or like this workout video that I found. And then I'm going to do a little bit of yoga. And then I think I'm going to journal actually. And then I'm going to improv for a little while, and I'm going to take this Gaga class, and like just whatever. Like we
It
would
was
literally like tell
crazy.
each other our entire schedule for the day, and we'd be like, so what classes do you want to do together? Like, oh, we should take that Zoom class at the same time. Oh, like let's do some guided questions for our journal together, or whatever it is. And it's like
I feel like,
so really exciting and cool and awesome that we
yeah.
were so committed to everything during that time. I know it was us coping with what
Oh,
was going on, but
100%.
how cool is it that we were able to cope in a way that propelled us into our careers in
Because I
such a
also
seamless way?
think it,
Because I knew myself so deeply during that time, like more so than I ever have, because
agreed.
we were spending so much time with our bodies and our minds and
Yeah.
being alone in a room, but also we were together and we were always talking through it with
We
each
were
other.
always
And
talking through it. And I think, like, it wasn't even until you were just describing it now that I don't think I ever fully clocked it in this way. But like, obviously, by the way you just listed our schedule, we were like eating up any free dance resources we could because we were just craving like
oh my God. And
moving
now,
and
like, I forget that they still exist because, but that
right.
back then they were all we had.
But
So now I'm
then,
like, oh, wait, I actually can just like do ballet in my living room if
right.
I feel like it one
Well, but
night.
then
And
equally, like,
all those resources are available.
something else that I think that period maybe taught me, like you mentioned briefly, like we were doing a lot of journaling, we were doing a lot of like self-care, but equally like self-care came up in ways that we we were doing like Netflix parties and watching movies at the same time together and like
Yeah,
chatting on the
yeah.
side and
Well, I mean, we were having to, like, we had no socialization going
exactly.
on. So, like,
And
that was what we
everyone
had to
was
do.
everyone was finding this way to like cope, but I think weirdly like it gave me permission to like slow down and speed up at the same time. Like there was this really intense
Hmm.
motivation, but
So
equally
much
like
momentum.
so much momentum, but then equally like to just sit down and watch a movie and like be like, okay, it's okay. Like you can watch a movie and just
Yeah.
exist and then come back to dance tomorrow and it's actually you're gonna be fresher. You're gonna be able to give more. You're gonna be able to
Uh-huh.
like listen more because you've like taken a step away for a moment. But then, yeah, also what made me laugh, as you said, that was like because I'm in a more isolated, like geographical space now than I have been the
Oh,
past
yeah.
5 years. I actually signed up for some online classes this morning, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, like it took. They're super great because they're live stream Zoom classes, but they're sent to you like asynchronously as well. So if you want to
Cool.
do them live, you can, but if it doesn't work, it's totally fine. And they last for a good couple months. And I was like, it's so nice to actually return to that space and force myself
Hmm.
to put that into routine because I think I've had so much resource around me that I haven't had to rely on the obviously there's still a lot of motivation to bring like a freelance career and to still show up to class. But like even today I just did like a little like typically in London, I would just go to the gym and work out. But today I was like, oh, I
Hmm.
don't yet have a gym membership.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just go outside and do a little random like hit workout on the patio.
Let me just do a little something.
Right? And it's like it's
Yeah.
returning back to those like slower moments, and it's actually really nice to like
Mhm.
yeah, that space I think taught me a lot that maybe I've ignored for the past 5 years because I've been in like super speed motion in London. But like to return to that sensation is quite cool, and then to yeah chat with you about
Yeah.
it is maybe a even
Well, and
better reminder for me
yeah,
to do that. Um,
I think that's like why, I don't know. I think that's why COVID was so important for us is like we
yeah,
had to learn and understand like what actually are our priorities,
yeah,
what are the things that I need in my life in order to function and be the best version of myself. Like I came, like I don't know if you relate to this, but like I came out of COVID and like it's like I feel like I re-met everybody in my life because
yeah,
they were like, what, like, whoa, you're like a whole entirely like different version of yourself.
yeah,
And I was like, "Mm, yeah, I actually have been doing a lot of self work. And I've actually been dancing a lot. And I feel really
yeah,
good in my body right now.
yeah,
And, you know, that actually was what propelled me towards my career because, like, I came out of COVID a totally different dancer. And I think what I was searching for with my trips to New York this summer was just like that same level of like space for me to invest
yeah,
time and energy into myself rather than feeling like I was having to like cater to all the people around me all the time.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so that has been helpful. I think that you're going to come back from Mauritius and people are going to be like, who is this? Like, I genuinely think, like, I was saying this to you the other day, I think your entire like nervous system is going to reboot because you're in this like beautiful environment surrounded by so much nature and your schedule isn't as extremely hectic as it's been in the city you've been living in for the past 5 years. Like I think that you're going to come out on the other side as a totally different human, and I'm like,
Mm,
how can I find a scenario like that within the chaos of my daily life? How can I at least like find habits and practices that I know ground me and I know that they make me feel grounded in like the best version of myself because I discovered that over COVID.
yeah.
And I think that those things are journaling. I think that they're yoga. I think um like listening to my body, like going to doctors, going to PTs, like that's the scary stuff that I don't really want to do.
Yeah.
But I went and saw a PT this week, just to be like, hey, I'm having a lot of back pain and like why do you think that is? And then we got into it and we talked about it. And then last night I was like, I was writing in my journal and I was like, I really feel like I should just like Google on YouTube, like what are some things that I can do to like just looking up like low back core strengthening, but mostly like pelvic floor strengthening exercises because I
Yeah.
think we got to the root of the issue and I think that it's that. I did this pelvic floor workout last night for like 40 minutes. Last exercise, I'm like sobbing and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There's something wrong with my body. So it's like sitting with yourself long enough to know that there are things to unpack and like there's things to
Yeah.
unravel and there's things to heal. And like I think that the next 6 months of my life or whatever, the eclipse just happened. So everybody's like, eclipse season, next new cycle, next 6 months. I think what that looks like for me is unpacking and unraveling and being like,
Mm,
what's going on and can I actually start listening to it? Because if I actually start listening to it, then I'm going to show up in all of my spaces better instead of just ignoring all of the things that I need and all the self-care that I need and all the alone time. And like I am a person that like I need to socialize and I need to have that like extroverted side of me. Like I said, I need to talk with my friends through my
mm,
issues. I need to do all of that stuff, but at the same time I need to be alone. I
yeah.
need alone time.
Oh,
I
me
need
too.
quiet. I have a very overstimulating life.
Yeah. No, I
So
feel you.
when I don't find enough time for myself, I become irritable and I become irrational and I get into spirals and I know that about myself. So
Yeah.
actually being able to commit to intentionally taking the space, that's the hardest part because I
Oh,
don't want to be alone.
100%.
But like I need to take that intentional space all the time, and I don't do it all the time. I've been really, really working on this lately. Even like last night, I was like, I'm just gonna stay home and I'm gonna take a bath.
Yeah,
And I did it, and it was great. And
because
I feel so much better, and I feel so much
mm,
more ready to take on my day now. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just that type of balance is the balance that I have really been working on, because I know it's going to make everything at work and everything in my career feel so much more aligned and easy, and like just find the flow of everything once I can
yeah,
get what's going on in my body and my brain and my mind like more balanced. Obviously, it's never going to be perfect, but like less chaotic than it's been for the past 3 or 4 years, you know? I
yeah.
think I've been in a long span of like not listening. I don't think I've listened since COVID. I think I've been
Mm.
going, moving, adapting, problem solving, like you said. Like, I think I haven't sat with anything in like 5 years. So I am hoping, even if I don't really have the space for it, I have one day off now in my schedule, the way that I built it this year. So I'm hoping I can actually intentionally take that day off instead of, I mean, last year I was working quite literally 7 days a week, whether I was
Yeah,
in rehearsals, whether I was doing choreography, whether I was doing whatever. And now having just one day that like nothing I can really fill my schedule with. Like, I mean, I can, obviously do administrative work. I can do all these other things. I can clock some hours, but at the same time, there's no teaching on that day. Like, I am making sure that I'm taking space for myself. I'm reading
I
my
was
book.
gonna
I
say,
am writing in my journal. I am doing yoga. Maybe we'll go take a dance class, whatever it is, yoga class. I don't know.
yeah,
I need to get into a routine of it, but I'm really looking forward to like maximizing that time with myself this year so I
yeah.
can be better
I
and
feel
not
like
be,
the
in the space I've been in.
the theme that came up when you were speaking, I feel like is something about creating space.
Hmm.
Like within the
Oh yeah.
structure that you have, it's quite intense, and especially at this point in the year, like there's a lot going on, but also a
You
lot
have to
ahead.
find it and you have to intentionally take it. Like I
Yeah,
had to intentionally take it because I knew that last year what I was doing, like I wasn't well.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I wasn't showing up in my spaces as a person who was well.
Mm,
So I looked at my schedule this year and I was like, how can I take a day off?
yeah,
Like, how can
it's
I make that happen
important.
for myself?
It's really
Yeah.
important. Yeah, to like, yeah, let's go back, like going back to the thing of protecting your peace and protecting your energy. Like, it's the only way you can continue to give from an authentic place.
Hmm. You
Wow.
already know?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Wow. No, but it's all been like such good stuff, and I feel like we could just talk for another three
Well, it's
hours if
also
we
just
wanted
so funny
to.
that you have this as a real thing now, because there's been so many times, and maybe it's just because, like I said, I love to hear myself speak and I love to talk to you. But there's been so many times over the past however many years. I mean, we've had a long distance friendship since you moved to London
2020,
five
yeah.
years ago. Yeah, so since 2020. And I
Since
feel like
COVID.
every time we talk on the phone, like we talk on the phone probably more rarely now, but anytime
Yeah.
we do, it will last for like at least 1 to 2, if not 3 to 4 or 5 hours over the course of our days. And I'm
Literally.
always in the middle of these conversations like, oh my God, like we should be recording this. Like somebody
Yeah.
should be listening to us. Like this is kind of tea.
It really is though, like I was saying to you recently, like the whole reason I wanted to share this podcast with everyone and like create something like this was because of conversations like this of that I just kept having with like all these other artists and movers around me, and it just was like, oh, if I was 14 and I could hear people going through the same stuff that like at 14 felt like might be the thing that makes or breaks your career in dance.
Yeah.
And then like,
Because at that time you had a different support system and like you
yeah,
hadn't built this up over time and we hadn't created this relationship. Like it's all so
and
different
just to
now.
know that it's
Um,
normal and that like
yeah.
all of the ebbs and flows are okay and it's all cyclical, and but yeah. So it's super nice to also have you on like at this stage of it and like start from this place, and I feel like it won't be the last time you're speaking on it, which is really cool.
No, I think, yeah, I think the most consistency we've had in our friendship has been our ability to have these conversations. Like I was even saying to you the other day, like it's crazy how even throughout like everything that has been going on, like in my personal life this summer, over the past few years, whatever, I will always lead with like, hey, I have a dance question for you. And then we'll have an entire conversation. And then, like, whatever life updates I have, like, we don't get to until like three
No.
months later. And I'm like, oh, this thing happened to me. And you're like, wait, what? So So, but
Literally.
this just shows like this is the foundation of our friendship that works. I think
Mm,
when we hyper focus too much on the other stuff, like we have had fights before. So just, leaning into like what we have in common, which is like this, career that we're trying to make work in two totally different spaces in two totally completely different ways. But we always can find like something to ground ourselves and relate to each other on here. So
100%.
that's always fun for me. And it makes me
Yeah,
feel less alone.
exactly. Find a community. But no, it's so true. And just like a big, like warm hug every time, which is quite nice. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's been so lovely. I think we'll probably wrap it there because Stitch's got to get to
Like,
work soon.
I do.
And
I have to work in an hour, and my parents have been incessantly calling me throughout this entire call as well. So,
oh goodness, you should probably catch up with them. But yeah,
yes,
it's been super, super nice. And I look forward to the next time. Keep an
I'll
eye
be back.
on the next episodes coming out soon. And also, like, if you have any comments or questions or things that you like hearing us chat about, leave them in the comments section below. Give us a like, give us a follow, and see you soon again on Conversations for the Moving Cell. Have a lovely evening, Stasia, teaching,
Also,
and
leave a comment if you think that I should visit Megan and Mauritius and we should go on a boat.
100% please
If
like
you think
and
that that's a good
comment.
idea, and if you think that I need to make that happen in my life, then I want you to leave a comment and a like and a subscribe or
Yeah, maybe
whatever.
if we get to like a certain number, then like it's a deal. It's signed. It's a
We
contract.
have big, ambitious ideas of going on boats together. So,
Yeah, you gotta support us, guys. But anyway,
yeah.
have a good teaching night, and yeah, we'll chat soon.
All right. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you so much for listening to episode 2 of Conversations for the Moving Self. And a big thanks to Stasia for joining today. It was so lovely to catch up and just like reflect on our journey into our professional careers and reminisce on like the high school days. Um, but it really is these like long lasting friendships and roots in your support system that really keep you going. So I invite you to listen in for the next episode of Conversations for the Moving Self. We have another exciting guest lined up, and it will be a very different conversation around like interdisciplinary practice and so much more. So stay tuned on all your major streaming platforms and see you next time.